Here's where we're recording. Start the video. It's not picking up the owl. You know, I think I need more money if I'm going to be an AV expert. Maybe just power. Is it plugged in? There's a power button. That's
audio. Here we
yeah.
go.
Nothing.
There's another button on this side.
Yeah, that looks like mute.
Hey.
Oh.
I mean, it's not plugged in.
Nice. That's an easy one.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah.
Try restarting it, rebooting it.
Take it to the parlor for coffee.
Oh, I see the eyes.
Yeah, that's a good
See
sign.
the owl eyes.
Oh.
It's like me and House Road. Let's see, does it have the bottom part? Take it to the limit.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's call this meeting to order at 6:32, April 24th. Welcome, everybody. All right, roll call. DRB members, Patrick Bradley in attendance.
John McCabe.
Barry Rutland.
Emily Myers. Lisa Close.
Alec Ornstein. Matt Stewart.
Zoning Administrator Stephen True.
All right, certainly have a quorum. First order of business, we have the agenda for this evening. Does anyone have any additions? Proposed amendments? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Thanks, Emily. Can I have a second? Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, right?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda? All right, it's unanimous. Okay, we next, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our March 20th meeting? Any edits to the minutes? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you, Don. Can we get a second?
Second.
Emily, all those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Oh, Stan, was not there.
Noted.
Noted.
Moving along, public comments. Do we have any members of the public? Citizens that are here to talk about something other than our public hearings tonight? Doesn't look like it. So moving on to item 5, announcements and correspondence. Don't think we have any.
Yeah.
I would just like to welcome Lisa to our
Oh.
board.
Yes.
Such a gentleman. Thank you,
Yep.
Don. All right, let's go into the public hearings. First hearing is for application number 16 BSU B25. Applicant Thomas and Marie Colaccio, 44 four-wheel drive.
Chair, can we have a third chair up, please?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
So this is a final plat hearing. At the prior meeting, we received a waiver request for our density calculation, which we reviewed and approved. We didn't at that time walk through the sort of remaining review steps for a subdivision, which the applicant has responded to in their final plat application. So that's where we are.
Okay. Well, let's take care of business first. Nice to see you all again. Just for the record, please identify yourself.
Tom Blanchard. And Andrew Clever.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We have before us 3 exhibits submitted by the applicant. And 3 exhibits submitted by the zoning administrator. Can I get a motion to put these exhibits into evidence? Thank you, Barry. Second by Alec. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Okay, great. Maybe it's helpful to have thank you. This was really well written, laid out. We have our criteria for subdivision in section 3.3 through 3.10, the subdivision regulations. Anything that you'd like to kind of direct our attention to in particular?
Not necessarily, Chairman, well, maybe just one, if you permit me leave to do so. This, steep slopes that, as we spoke about, in the first hearing, property does have some, on the easterly side. We've, prepared the envelope to stay as far away from those as possible pursuant to the, 3.3 D, of the criteria, for development envelope review. And I wanted to point that out, if that was a concern for any board members. Otherwise, hopefully it's self-explanatory, and interesting reading.
All right, well, then maybe we can move quickly through these. 3.3A. Suitability of the land. No danger to public health, safety, the environment. Some of these are covered again later. 3.3B. We have the development envelope depicted before us here. All the relevant parts, including driveway and water. 3.3C, there are no wetlands. Surface waters or flood hazard areas on the parcel. As you mentioned, 3.3D, steep slopes. But this is, some members of the DRB may want to look at this more carefully, but you've said that the development envelope is separate from those sloped areas on the lot.
Correct.
3.3E through I does not implicate sensitive wildlife habitat, historical and cultural resources, farmland, forest resources, or scenic resources. 3.5, stormwater management. Yeah,
Not really applicable in this case. It's below the sort of construction threshold that would require that
okay.
permitting.
Community services. Noted the fire hydrants. 3.7F, traffic and road capacity. We've discussed this with respect to 4-wheel drive in our last meeting. 3.8, water supply and wastewater disposal. You have obtained or will have the necessary wastewater and potable water permits. And those will be recorded in the land records. 3.9, utilities. No disturbance. 5.07C is a statement that will have no impact on farmlands, which covered elsewhere. Okay. So we've gone through the portions of sections 3.3 through 3.10 as applicable. Any comments or questions by other members of the DRB?
I have a question, with the replacement septic being in the neighbor or, the adjacent lot, is there any sort of easement in the deed that allows for that?
My answer,
Sure.
that's a replacement for the house that's there already.
Okay, so we went over this
So
last
they-
week,
they
actually,
can-
the
no,
same,
You didn't draw attention to it. So they actually made 3 separate septic designs, 2 for the new subdivided lot. And they had to make a second one for what'll be my lot, because we have a system that was put in the sixties.
Got it, so the new lot. The replacement field is within the property, it's not the one that's shown here.
And
Okay,
the
that's
second one is not on their property.
yeah, thanks for the clarification.
Thank you for asking.
Any other questions for the applicants?
The last time we were talking about this, I had a question about the curb cuttings. And I was kind of told that this would be the time and that was more appropriate than the last time. And I guess has that been?
You know, in this circumstance where there's really no physical barrier to a curb cut.
Because the steep slope is only on the east side of that.
Yeah, that's
only
correct.
on-
It's actually the property's essentially at road grade level. You know, I think the driveway when it's built is going to be
So no, I just.
tens of feet. It's not a problem. So we'll handle that at the building permit application stage. There is an open stream that comes through the property. We do,
See that there.
I mean, we
Oh, so there is, are we uphill or down? We're uphill of that stream, so isn't there a setback?
yeah, I think you guys might want to consider you know, a condition that there's no development within 50 feet of the stream.
Yeah, or,
And I don't, does that impact your plans?
No, because the stream actually goes under four-wheel drive before the subdivision,
Yeah,
Mm,
proposed subdivision line.
Yeah.
So it actually wouldn't be on the new lot.
and I did see that it's well below your property.
Yeah.
Okay,
it doesn't really look like that on the map, but
It's the blue line, is it the blue line? So does your driveway essentially, and the development parcel have a bridge over that?
No, but it already exists. In the,
Yeah.
front, you know, there's like a culvert.
Cool, yeah,
That goes
It's all right.
over it.
Right, I see it.
coming down this way, they just have to.
It's
Up
This thing?
yeah,
It's, and it's fairly sloped from the house up here. It's like a gully that comes through here. It's
What are
not,
the things still?
All right, well, it's not on this, not on this. Oh, can you make a condition on, in a subdivision on the other lots? I'm not
you know, I'm not
sure we
familiar
need
enough
to-
with the property to
Yeah.
you know, I wanted to ask that question, but you know, I think that answers sufficient.
Question?
If there's going to be any impacts, potential impacts to the stream that runs on
Based
and
the new
near,
construction.
yeah, based on the new construction and yeah.
Because the driveway, well. Above, I don't know what direction that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of for the road itself is the bridge over the stream and there's a culvert. It's a gully from that southern portion of the whatever. Not a problem.
Any other questions?
That does make it, yeah, yeah.
We can describe it again.
No, I got what I'm saying there.
Okay.
Okay. I think we can close this public hearing. Can I get a motion to close? Thank you, Don. Can we get a second? Thank you, Alec. All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was Alex and Dawn.
Yes. Okay,
Great. You can just leave that. I'll take care of it. Thank you.
Pay over that. It's
okay, the next, if folks are here, the next one we could do, and just the way it's written, is applicants Victor and Mara Child. Great, so everybody's here, we should just go in order. This will be application number 11 BSU B25. This is a final plat review, again, for a 2-lot subdivision. And the applicants, landowners are Victor B. and Mara Child, 1802 Turnpike Road. Well, let's take care of the formalities first. Would you just introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Brad Riverman, land surveyor, Victor Buckshot.
Nice to meet you both. Do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you for submitting your application along with 6 exhibits. Well, there's 6 exhibits, including the application itself, A1 through A6. Our zoning administrator has also prepared 4 exhibits, ZA1 through ZA4. Can I get a motion to move the collective exhibits into evidence?
Move to enter the 6 applicant exhibits and the 4 zoning exhibits.
Great. Can I get a second? Thank you. I'll go, that's Alec, Barry, and all those in favor? Aye. So just give you a second to catch up.
Yeah.
We've just entered the exhibits into evidence with
Okay.
Alec making the motion and Barry seconding.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. It's sometimes helpful to just start by giving us a lay of the land,
Sure.
pun intended.
You mind if I roll these plans out?
Yeah, please.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This is mine. Is it yours? No, I think that's his. No worries.
So this is a proposed 2-lot subdivision, a 262 acre parcel at the end of Turnpike Road. But approximately 170 acres on one side currently have an existing dwelling. The 93 acres on the opposite side currently vacant. What the Childs have proposed to do is a 2-lot subdivision, creating an 8.9 acre lot around the existing dwelling. And keeping the 93 acres across Turnpike Road as a part of that lot. So that would be lot 1. And then this index plan has a little bit more of a detail. Lot 2 would be a 160 acre parcel located further south along Turnpike. And that would be eventually improved with a single family dwelling and possibly an accessory dwelling unit. We've got a state water and wastewater permit for the subdivision, so an in-ground septic system was designed for lot 2. Lot 1 has an existing system and fully compliant replacement system has been permitted and designed and permitted for that lot. There's a brook that does run through lot 2, and the development envelope will maintain a 50-foot buffer minimum from top of bank. There's also class 2 wetlands on that parcel, which will also maintain a 50-foot buffer. There's a small development envelope proposed around where the existing barn sits on lot 2. That's also the location of a former dwelling that was burned down several years ago. That's the site proposed for the new dwelling at some point. We haven't come to a point, we're not at the building permit portion yet, but we're looking for a subdivision approval. Power is available right at the road and right at the development envelope. That's the class 3 portion of Turnpike Road.
The existing residence is on the class 3 portion, is that right? Or no, I'm sorry, the
class 4
floor portion. Okay, yep. And this is across from, so where the barn used to be, or the existing barn, I'm sorry, that's kind of more or less across the street from the Guile Mountain parking lot. Okay. Just to orient everybody. Great.
Great.
Let's,
So in terms of zoning districts, there is portions of both lots that are in the Ridgeline district. Though there's no impacts to this from this development envelope within the Ridgeline district, so we don't need to review this application under those standards. There is a portion of where the barn is in the former house that has been categorized as being in a portion of our scenic resources. Through my review, I would recommend that you find there's no impact. If there was a dwelling there when the scenic resource was developed. It doesn't.
so in being asked to approve this subdivision, we are in the same exercise, sort of acknowledging or formalizing this proposed development envelope.
Mhm.
So in other words, any building that would be in the future in that development envelope would be limited to the portion along the road, more or less, as opposed to, it's an interestingly shaped thing, so that in this lot too, it's not as though there would be we're not allowing any kind of building to happen in this vast majority of this lot too, right? This thing bubbles out off to the side. That's my understanding, right?
That's correct. I mean, it doesn't preclude future
But
subdivision.
with that, they would need another subdivision and another development envelope.
That's correct. Yeah.
Other than an ADU in the existing, yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that was clear.
So
Clarify that a little more actually, so does that, the proposed building site is within the the scenic overlay, but it was already non-compliant, or there already was a building within this,
yes,
so we don't need a.
Well, I mean, that's up to you to investigate. The sort of scenic resource overlay does contain a portion of this lot 2. That portion is where the existing barn and the former house are. So they were included, and I don't see anything in this proposal that sort of deviates in an undue way from what was there before.
Question, off-site impacts. So in an area like this where lighting or noise, even though the buildings are not seen perhaps from outside of the district, forgive me for not being so familiar with the regs yet, but are there off-site impacts with particularly lights at that down shielding or something like that?
Performance, we do have performance standards in our general provisions, which include light, noise, odor, sound. You can absolutely, include that criteria in the subdivision review. So if you'd like to propose a condition for that might mitigate glare, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I would entertain that thought. It sounds like where this property is located is fairly deep into wooded area and an area where those big lights on barns or whatever might be disturbing to neighbors or creatures. And
Mhm.
so to the extent possible that we could suggest or something that those not be, that they be down shielded, that they be on timers, whatever. Well, I'm not sure what you guys have used in the past.
I think it's if I remember correctly, it was in here
Okay,
already by the landscaping plan and lighting. Landowner's
Yeah.
plan. Exterior lighting will be placed perhaps one or two freestanding yard poles near the parking area with down facing shielded lights only.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We do have two members in the audience who are here for as abutters.
oh, yeah, well, we should absolutely get to that. And perhaps online too, but I'm not sure. Do we, I just don't want to cut you off before we turn to anyone else who's here to speak. Did you get a chance to finish everything you were gonna lay out?
Also covered
Yeah, okay,
much what the subdivision's proposing and.
great, all right.
I just have one question, clarification for me. In lot one is the dwelling where you live?
Yep.
Okay. And there's no other plan at this point or request at this point for any other development, just a subdivision? Okay.
Okay, who, do we have some other members, interested parties, butters here?
Yes.
Would you like to stand up, just identify yourself so we can take your name? Or maybe you've already signed in. Okay, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Would you like to,
I just was wondering. The house that you're gonna build there, is that gonna be on the footprint of the house that was there?
Yeah, so the barn that's there now is basically the same size as a timber frame barn frame that we also own. That's planned to put up on the same footprint.
Say that again, you're gonna build a house exactly the same size as the barn?
Basically, yeah, the barn right now is decrepit and falling over. It's a hazard to be hit.
Right, so are you getting rid of the barn?
Kind of south, maybe on the south, yeah.
And you're gonna build a house where the barn is?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're not building a house where the house was. On the
So-
original footprint.
we're not sure the exact plans yet for the like exact specific with the footprint will be the same size as the barn there right now, yeah, for the main house. Yeah,
And then it'll be somewhere, and then where will the ADU be?
next to it is the plan right now, where standalone house was, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I have a question in general. Do ADUs have to be in the development envelope?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Ed Childs with the S. Welcome to the neighborhood, but
thank you.
Do you have any comments in addition to the warm welcome?
my wife, as long as he stays on his own side of the road, we'll be okay.
We'll do that.
Is there any connection to
We'll just make that a condition.
Gile Mountain or Guile Mountain or no?
I'm sorry. My hearing is not the best.
You said your last name was Giles?
Giles.
But
Yeah,
Oh, I
Ed,
see.
don't you
His
live,
was an S.
that's right.
Got it now.
Ed, don't you live very close to the Guile Mountain access? Yes,
Okay.
and we know that there are a whole bunch of issues about that. We're not covering that here tonight. But we hope it works out for you.
Well, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you guys are satisfied with the subdivision review, there's the matter of lot allotment.
Yeah, why don't you direct us to that? Is that in a particular zoning administrator exhibit?
Yes, it's exhibit ZA3.
Okay.
It's under section 3.2 determination of maximum density. So the bylaw sort of refers to prior subdivisions, you know, when they sort of describe this, the item's called subdivision of previously subdivided lots. I'm more interested in the last clause, which says allocation of potential future lots to specific parcels shall be specified in the notice of decision and in the notes on the final recorded plat. So
you're saying that, and I've seen that in the I think different-ish matters. Is there a number that if they were to propose something, Is there a total number that they
Yes.
can divide across the two?
According to my review of my putting this property through the formula, I believe it came out to 14 total lots of a minimum of 2 acres.
Including the two that are on, that are right now?
Yes.
Including the two that, okay.
Yeah.
So,
And I think in the packet, there was the density calculation. If we could just sort of bring that up. It's. So, yeah, including, so that this is considering the property as a whole. The total maximum lots allowable via this calculation is 13. 2 are accounted for, lot 1 and lot 2, after this subdivision. And I guess the question is for you, the applicant, we need to, record on the Mylar how these lots are, this future development is allotted between these 2 lots.
so there's 11 left. Based on the size alone, you could be like 5 on your 5 on your remaining like acreage on the west side of Turnpike Road, 6 in the big nub. Or maybe you want to go 4, propose 4 and 7. I don't know, but you have 11 left.
And it's gotta happen now, as part of the application to do that.
It needs to be recorded along, it has to be in our decision. And it has to be recorded on the Mylar.
note
on the Yeah.
Mylar.
Yeah,
There could there be in theory, in the future, a motion or some kind of application to reallocate? I mean, that, again, for,
So
who knows, that's in the future.
5 and 6,
Yeah, I'm saying like if, for example, I don't wanna say something too crazy
What if
or
the-
nuts, but
What if the density calculation formula changes in the next iteration of the regs? Does this pin them to the allocation that they're setting forth now?
it pins future development to this allocation.
yeah, so the Mylar. The Mylar would speak, I don't know, you got any other?
It's not putting the cart before the horse. I mean, there's so much wetland. It's not like it's even feasible to even possibly, I mean, I'm just looking at it right now, even have 11 spots.
They might not, yeah, they might get it.
What the presence of wetlands is considered in the calculation. So there's sort of weighted measurement based on the distance from Tracy Hall, proximity to AT or fire district lands, and the class of road that the property is on. That sort of reduces the total available, and then it's further reduced by the presence of potential impacts to natural resources or the presence of steep slopes. So
It might not be that they necessarily ever get to 11 for a number of reasons, like maybe certain things wouldn't be suitable to build on or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense if you think about like real estate and ownership perspective, like we're creating 2 different lots. You have to, these could be separated soon. And so these some rights need to be, I think, allocated. I don't know, you have a thought?
Jeff?
Yeah, member of the audience, Jeff, few things, I think Steve's right to say, today, whatever the number is, goes on the plat. One of the things I think Steve's trying to do, which is good, is to clean up the bookkeeping, because we've had past approvals that have talked about density, and it's not been allocated. Lot sales occur, who gets the benefit of that, so in this context, cleans it up, and anything going forward could be addressed with an amendment, regardless of zoning regs. And any future development with additional lots has to come back to the DRB, whether it's a PRD or a subdivision, so it's all gonna come back till the regs change.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yeah.
No such thing.
There's a formula for determining this 14 that we got.
Yep.
Okay,
13, yes.
sorry, 13. Doesn't the formula dictate how much each subsequent lot? Like, won't you run the formula on the new lots that we're approving now to determine how many?
So to sort of consider them independently,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, it just, if we have a formula for
Not-
that, like, isn't that what governs it? Is it like, why we, I know it's sensitive.
yeah, I mean, it should, but it doesn't. So as written,
But then there's gonna be a point at which if they chose 1 and
Yes.
12. That clearly would not, you'd run the formula through and they'd come back for their
Right.
12. At the, we're gonna subdivide this 12 times, and then you say, well, that's too dense.
Maybe not with 160.
Well, maybe,
I mean, if it were flat, dry land or something.
maybe, but like, shouldn't we, then maybe that's a really good point, so maybe don't we need to know what that formula says for each of these two? So that they can make the decision, oh, okay, like, I could allocate them. 11, 12 and 1. But
yeah,
maybe I have to allocate them 6 and 5 because this one can only hold 5
To max out.
So like, I don't know, that might help
yeah,
them decide,
I could certainly do that calculation, and treat them independently. No, it's fine. I mean, I think I did. I just don't remember.
Okay.
I don't want to speak to it because I don't recall exactly.
It shoots the wrong thing that makes.
Yeah. I hear that point. Patrick, I also hear your point about, the development potential. We're sort of separating these two lots, right? I mean, the second lot could come under its own ownership. And I mean, do we curtail the development potential of that property
No, but
at this point?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, sorry, but I mean, I think we have someone who has said that this has come back to sting the DRB.
Yeah.
Presumably the town in the past by not clarifying it.
So I think we might need some more information here.
Okay, well, let's tabling that allocation.
Sorry, I have one other question on allocation. It says you have to allocate it. Does it say you have to allocate it with a specific number, or can you say each one gets economics of 12?
Where are the
Lawyers, available.
No, that's fantastic. Let me read this to you in its entirety, okay? So this is section 3.2 B rural district, item number 5,
Right.
subdivision of previously subdivided lots. Lots created under any subdivision permitted after September 1st, 2002 shall be subject to the determination of a development density of the original notice of decision. So future subdivisions depend on what we decide here.
So we do have to do this determination of development density on these two new ones here, no? I mean, that's what is happening. The lots created under any subdivision permitted after September, that's what we're doing, right?
We are creating these lots.
Right, so then we have to determine the development density of the original notice. That doesn't make any sense. What's the density of a notice of the decision? What does that mean?
In our findings, we have to, in the letter of decision that we issue on this matter, we need to include a lot allotment.
Okay.
As a matter, so it's in the public record, that will also be recorded on the Mylar. So any future,
I
To
think,
me, I read this as saying. We just have to determine how many. Each one can have in the future.
That's
based
right.
But just based on a determination of development density.
that of the lot, so this lot has not been previously subdivided.
correct.
So it is speaking in the future tense,
Right.
and it's saying that future tense is gonna be bound by this notice of decision.
But does it need to?
And so,
But if they.
and in our calculus of the density from this thing. And so,
Let's calculate the density, but like,
so we've heard it's 13 if we accepted that.
but that's 13.
For the entire lot as it exists,
Well,
with a 160 plus 98 or whatever.
This is saying lots must be subject to it.
It's talking about, I think, a future subdivision that would come from.
Yeah,
this.
we're creating 2 lots today, right?
That is the
We're being
idea.
asked to.
Right, or, sorry, we're being asked. So for the number 13 that comes out of that. Like, why is it only
Oh, I
one
see.
number? Shouldn't it be two numbers?
Okay.
I
I see what
mean,
you're saying now. So then it would be a pro rata in the first,
I just, like,
first division.
I don't understand why we care about the density calculation of the original full lot. This tells us we need to know the development density calculation for each one independently.
And then you're saying moving forward,
And then
each is bound by that number.
just put that in, because that's what the calculation tells us. Okay, in the future, based on the development density right now,
yeah,
this is how much each of
Okay.
these two
I hear
can
what you're saying.
hold
100%.
forever in the future. And then it's not really up to you guys, it's just this calculation, you don't have to split it up.
Or demarcated.
It just is what it is because.
Yeah, I mean, we do
Okay, so
we do the density calculation, this process prior to any recording of a subdivision. The subdivision does not exist at this point.
Let's sit, Jeff's got a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The co-author person created this problem. The idea was to allocate density at the time of the initial subdivision. If there are 13 total, we've got 2 lots. That leaves 11, you can divide it to 10 and 1. The allocation is a function of the overall site, the overall project. The notion of planned residential development. The site actually may accommodate 40 units. I
Sure.
know that. The allocation of the density could penalize whomever receives the 10 versus whomever receives the 1 additional one later. It's up to the applicant at the time of subdivision, which is our intent, how that person allocates the density.
Could penalize in the sense of market value.
Well, no, in terms of, if you said, I'm gonna put 10 units on this and
Yeah.
rules with agency of natural resources, wetlands, wastewater, only allow 4, you're done.
Okay, so those got evaporated. And that's what I was saying to Emily's point, like, it won't necessarily get it as many as you put. But in theory, like I said, if this were flat land, like my instinct is that 106, like, you could have like a Hawk Pine neighborhood up there. I'm just saying, in theory, you don't know, so like, let them decide how they wanna. Value their land moving forward, if this is a tenant right to it, they should propose something. Not putting you on the spot. Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, and yes, this is.
We don't have a plan to build a hall. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the next person that you sell it to might, and if it's on the west side of the road and not on the east side, they're not gonna have a choice. That's
Do you know that figure right now?
13.
Well, okay, we just.
But yeah, so if you, clearly you wanna do this, what we're here for tonight, right? So that's gonna be 2. So what we're telling you is there's 11 left.
Yeah, and
You would know the land better than I,
When do we need those?
by the time the Mylar thing hits, right?
well, it has to be in the decision. So I think maybe what we need to do here is gather that information and continue the hearing. Adjourn the hearing.
Sure, gather a proposal from the applicants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Is there any other questions before we break or about any other, it seems like that's kind of the key remaining factor.
Public comment.
Yeah. Chuck,
A question. I'm a little confused right now. Are we talking about a 2-lot subdivision, or are we talking about something that could happen in the future?
both.
Okay, because I would definitely want to be on record as being opposed to something beyond that for any number of reasons, including distance from town, traffic, and so on. So
Yeah.
I just want to be on record
Yeah,
with that statement. Thank you.
Yeah,
yes. Thank you.
yep. Yep,
Okay, I think if everybody, both sides are done with questions, we should press pause. So do we need a motion to come out of this public hearing or stop this one or pause it? It doesn't end it, does it?
let's not take a motion to close the hearing.
Yeah.
But
To continue it.
Yes.
Thank you, Counselor. Can we get a second? All right, thank you.
Yep.
I'm just having fun.
But we, just to be clear, we need to demarcate or just.
No, you don't need to demarcate. You just,
You don't have to, you're not bound by anything. So just,
yeah,
you have a certain number of future.
And that number is 13 minus 2, so 11.
yep.
I know I've done 14, I mean, I misheard you. You first.
Well, I mean,
First time, but we said 13.
So there's
Yeah.
11 that we need to allocate across the 2 lots.
that's correct.
Okay, and they need to be a 2-acre minimum.
They,
They
yeah,
are expected.
yes, they would be 2 acre minimums.
Right.
You don't need to.
Rather than, let's just divide it in half, let's.
If if you're,
It is one side, I have a guess. Is one side like basically look like Dial Mountain and the other side a little flatter?
Yeah, well, I mean, not much flatter, it's a lot of mountains up there, but.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Looks like 6 and 5, 6 on 5.
6 on lot 1.
on lot. 5 on lot 2.
Yep. Okay.
That's opposite the size of the lots.
Right.
Okay.
Just as far
There's more, yeah, sure. Yeah.
6 lot 1. 5 lot 2. Is that correct?
Yeah.
6 lot 1. 5 lot 2. There's another question.
Yes, 1 second. Yeah, okay, yes. Question in the back.
So lot 1 is where the current house is, plus I think it's 9 acres and then everything across the road attached to that. And then the rest is basically south on the east side of Turnpike Road.
But and nothing is getting approved. No lots or buildings are being approved, but through just making that allocation, just so the rest, everyone knows. It's just constraining the future number of additional subdivisions on each of those 2 respective lots, should we agree to the application.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So now, I think-
We need to come back or we continue this.
No, I think we can consider 6 and 5. I think sounds reasonable. You're the landowner. Yeah, let us know if you change your mind tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you could entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I would entertain a motion to close the hearing. Can I get that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alec. Barry. All those in favor of closing the hearing? Aye. Begrudgingly? Great.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Coaching here.
I don't look at.
Man, what power is going in my head.
Yeah.
It's good to.
That was fairly convenient.
Was it?
Yes.
Really?
I started Steve when he was lady.
Not even your own property. Very uncomfortable.
And then all the top right.
Different opinions, I suppose. We were living that, aren't we?
Before we're on,
Yeah.
Ed Childs was part of the partnership crew, by the way.
Oh, really?
Nice. Author of all the regs and stuff?
Yeah, we were all in the same place until 2004.
Do you have a telephone number for him? I need to talk.
We need to hear those tales recounted at some point, perhaps, in
Thank you very
Pat
much.
Porch.
The other thing is kudos to Brad Woodward for actually doing the wetland work. So when you see a stream, when you reference, he's got to be somebody that knows, that can certify it's not a wetland. And Brad plan is a good plan.
Was that in the
One
first
project
one,
reference
Palacios?
was a stream, Does
Yeah.
not have that certification.
All right, let's go back on the record here. Let's see, lost my agenda. Okay, this application is, application number 13 BSU B25. Preliminary plat review and waiver request for a 2-lot subdivision, theme of the night.
Yep.
The applicants are welcome, Carmen and Stuart McCampbell, as trustees of the Carmen T. McCampbell Living Trust. Welcome.
Thank you.
Get the formalities out of the way.
Yep.
Introduce yourself, please, and
Well, Stuart McCampbell, known as Scott, and this is Carmen McCampbell, known as Nina.
Here's Nina.
And this is our keeper, Goodrich.
Hathaway Consulting.
Yeah, keep us out of trouble. Jeff will get into the plan, they're fairly straightforward and simple. So we give a quick history.
1 second, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's just let me do my little formality thing. So you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Excellent. And then we'll just put these exhibits into evidence, and then we'll let you have the floor. So I'll sit here. There we go. So for this application, you guys have submitted for we have A1 through A4 as exhibits, and then our zoning administrator similarly has ZA1 through ZA4. Can I get a motion from the board to put these applicants and zoning administrator documents into the evidence? Thank you, Don. Second, thank you, Lisa. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your patience with that. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we have been on the property for 15 years. It started out at 94 acres, and 5 years ago, we peeled off 5 acres to our daughter, 42 acres to our daughter Daphne. Daphne Pandro, who lives there today with her husband and 2 little kids. Another daughter, Nina Kay, Dr. McCampbell, who also has a daughter, is a single mom, who wants to live on our property. She's downsizing. So we went from 94, we peeled off 42, 52, and now we are coming here to peel off another 13. So we'll end up with 38. The property itself, or in terms of the original 94 acres, it's little changed except for the addition of 1 house. We keep about 2 miles of trails open for the neighbors. We all plan to keep that way. The house that we're proposing, and the property is a mirror image off of Beaver Meadow Road, from the one we came to you 5 years ago. The curb cut is the same. The driveway will be going on the left side of with a curb cut instead of the right side.
Jeff, we put those up on the table. Yes.
The site it shows is about 300 feet from Beaver Meadow Road. The house will not be seen from the road. It's about as close as we could get to Beaver Meadow and have it still be on a level ground, developable. I think the only aspect of this plan that is where we need a variance concerns steep slopes. And the driveway itself will be below the 12%, which is the maximum allowed. But the ordinance that you have says that you can't cut into a slope below 25%. And this is rough ground. It's ledgy and it's rough. Many of you, when you drive down Beaver Meadow Road, go to the Sharon and see it on your right, all that timber. So in general, the slopes are around 25%, but it's rough. So when you're cutting the driveway through it, there's small places shaded. You see them shaded on the driveway plan that exceeds the 25% by sliding in. So that's the nature of the variance. I just wanted to mention that if you look at that slope in total, it's about 25%, but goes in and out of the city just because of the waving aspect of the land.
And
Other than that, I'm not gonna get into the plans except that I think they're simple. We haven't run out of doors, but we don't have any future plans to build more houses. I'll just turn it over to Jeff. Let's back questions about.
Yeah, I don't have a lot more to add from what Scott said, but I think as you stand on Beaver Meadow Road, when we did the driveway to the southeast, this is the mirror, as Scott said, northwest for Daphne and now Nina. How do I say this? We had, with Phil to Rod and now to Steve, the question is how to negotiate the rules as they are. And, this process, I would say thanks to Steve sifting and including Arlene's, what Arlene signed as a decision last time. We sorted through the whole 25% question, through a whole lot of energy. When we did the Daphne subdivision to the southeast. And, this is more or less, so my lengthy cover letter is more or less a repeat of some of this. Some 30 years ago. And effectively, speaking to Steve, the restriction for 25% slopes is you can't put a structure building 25% slopes, but we can seek a waiver for any utility or driveway construction, which we did last time, which we're doing now. And on the plan, the grading plan, and we've got a profile that shows the road grade, length of the road. As we come off the road, we're showing still doing grading plan all the way up to the building site. Outside of the 25% slopes. And
How's that driveway doing?
really well. Actually, that was to give Scott less credit than he deserves. That driveway was built on a former trail or logging road, and it's held up incredibly well over time, thanks to Scott and Greg Webster and Don. And there's the same.
Is that Scott McDonald? Which Scott is it?
Scott. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey.
Scott, sorry.
my apologies.
But with Eamon and Graham working with Scott, they did a phenomenal job to carry that logging road all the way to the top. They also created this amazing stabilization bank with the surplus ledge that came out of the building site. You ought to see it. It's a feat.
Yeah, the stabilization is really amazing. I mean, they used, that's what I love, is they blasted out, but then they used all of that. So they reused everything to help build the driveway and stabilize the bank.
This is a much easier site.
It's an engineering feat, really.
Then why wasn't this one done first?
The original proposal was, let's stay on the same road or area of impact.
Okay.
Simply, so this site development here, based on the calcs, will be lots of units, but basically. For Daphne, where's the most convenient place to build? And the idea was, let's go up the existing logging road.
Okay.
And there was no plan. We had no plan to subdivide, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, was the original, where's the,
So on this plan, Patrick, if you look at the survey plan, that Daphne's driveway comes up to a house. So this lot on this side, yeah, her house would be at the top of this.
was that off of Beaver Meadow or
Yeah,
Tilton
it's the
Hill?
same driveway. access.
Off of Beaver Meadow?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have does someone have a driveway off of Tilton Road? Sorry.
Tilden Road is a class 4 from that road,
Okay.
so our driveway is on the public way. But I believe it's class 4.
Google Maps thinks you could drive to your house basically through,
Don't
oh, yeah.
How far down Beaver Meadow is this? I don't know where.
You know what the Orange Fire District is? So if you're
Yeah.
going, Moore Lane.
Yep.
By the Norwich Pool.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
I'm an old guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then a sharp corner to the right after Norwich Fire District. It's about 500 feet up the road on the right.
Okay.
It's the first driveway. Well, actually, there's a little cluster across from Norwich Fire District. It's about 500 feet up.
There's a colorful mailbox on the website.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that where Terry McDonald, is that Terry McDonald live on that street?
And Terry's at the corner of Beaver Meadow and
Tilden.
Brigham Hill.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Not, that's not Tilden.
Correct. Tilden was at the top of Brigham.
You go freaking in left on Tilden.
Okay.
Rebecca Holton's.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's the next, right after Rebecca.
Ah.
How long did you say the driveway is?
So this one's about 600 feet, actually, but by the time I get done on the profile, it's about 600. Which is, I think, roughly half of what we're doing. Roughly.
I'm curious, I seem to recall that there were previous allocation in the previous one here, right?
Yeah, there is. I was
that-
just
is that
looking
in
at the-
Arlene's old,
Yeah, it's in the prior notice of decision under conditions, item C.
the allocation of 4 additional positions.
Yeah, and if I read this correctly, yeah. So the 6 potential future lots were allocated to the lot currently in question. I also note here that any future development on areas with slopes over 15% will require an erosion and sedimentation control plan based on the standards in the low risk site handbook for erosion prevention. That's a long title.
We fall in the category of needing the 3-9020. It's a state permit for impacts over an acre contiguous. So we're gonna need to exceed that standard, Steve, so that's a fine condition. We had to do that on one with that.
Okay, so there'll be, it is that sort of general construction stormwater permit or?
It is, so, 3-9050 is a function of impervious area,
Yep.
retreatment, detention, yada, yada. This is all about construction stabilization. We've actually got to go through the process of filing, the form's essentially done. Upload it, get the approval prior to construction.
Okay,
But in shorthand, if there's more than 1 acre of disturbed soil.
Hmm.
So if you look at the plan, anything that's created. It's like unoriginal topography contour. And add that all up, if it adds up to more than 1 acre, you have to get the permit.
Our detail sheets are essentially created to support that 3-9020 process with the state, so that's why we have the sheets in the front.
A lot of detail.
This is sort of a general comment. I'm sort of noodling around about the things that we see in the news of late about fires and the LA burnout and Hawaii and all of this. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is because when I first looked at this, I said, geez, oh man. It's a long ways up there across steep terrain. What are the mitigating factors that would assure that your family could get out, would be safe? In heaven forbid, the event that we're all moving towards, which is some catastrophic fire somewhere. Do you have sprinklers in the house or what? I've just sort of been trying to read to catch up, but.
You would add a couple of things. Number one, as part of your ordinance, it is required. If it's 500, the actual driveway is about 500 feet, and there's plus or minus 50 or so that are around the house. That there be adequate space for a fire engine to turn around. So that's the first most important thing. Beyond that, the house happens to be on what Jeff was just describing as a series of buggy trails. So yes, they,
Alternate access.
yeah, there's alternate access there. This is part of the trail system of the,
Sounds nice.
yeah.
Does.
Yeah, one of the main design issues, again, thanks to Scott, with this significant turnaround up where the house and garage are going. And the premise initially was, how do we plop these pre-constructed pieces of the house, which takes a big piece of equipment, which also accommodates a fire truck. That's the byproduct. The other thing is the width that we're showing here for the driveway is 14 feet. And the notion, certainly for 2 cars, it's easy enough to pass.
That's to get a huge truck up with these pieces.
Nice. Go up and take a look at that, watch that process. It sounds interesting.
So I have a question following up on your mention of fire risk. Have you, and will you consider a sprinkler system for the home?
Please, Lord, no. No, we have not, and I would discourage it, frankly. It sounds wonderful, but when you see what's necessary, it helps. You have to put a gigantic tank in the cellar. And then these huge things, why is it there?
That's a good point.
Oh, they're here. They're just, yeah, they're just under there. I'm sure. I don't know. I have no idea, but they're, yeah, we have a.
Do what we say, not what we do.
Yeah.
It's about-
Yeah, family,
Have you considered a pond?
Sorry?
Have you considered a pond?
Got a brook across the road,
Okay,
Charles Brown Road.
There's no place. I'd love it. There's no place.
okay.
But there's no actual requirement for any of this, that the driveway's under, if the, any single family residence, right? These are just practical considerations.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was reviewing this earlier today, I did happen to notice that this lot in its entirety is within the high priority forest connectivity block. We don't, our bylaws are silent on that, as is generally our town plan. But, you know, I would like the board to sort of consider the fact that this has been identified as by the state as a priority forest block. The existing houses are excluded from that in sort of 2-acre blocks.
Correct. The original property was and is in current use. And so when we peeled off the 48 2 acres, they stay in current use. And this property is simply too small, 13 acres. Current use is a minimum of 25 acres. Therefore, we are having the property appraised, and Norwich gets 10%, whatever it is. But we will continue to have our property current use.
If I may, we more or less pirated what we submitted last time on page 7, includes the top of page 8 relative to protection of forest resources and protected scenic resources as well, trying to specifically look at, there's preponderance of hemlocks here, not so much pine for deer yards and other considerations. So I don't know if I changed much of what I stole from last time, but pretty much the same language.
Can I ask a question out of curiosity? You mentioned something about having it appraised and then 10% that going to Norwich. Is that in some kind of stamp tax or do you mean just through property taxes? How do you help me put a little more color on that?
Whenever a property is in current use.
Yeah.
Theoretically, that property is reported in property tax. And therefore there's a penalty for withdrawing from current use. The penalty is 10% of the
Appraised value.
value.
I see.
And we're simply having them appraised. So if your assessor says it's worth $1 million.
I see. It's like a penalty for withdrawing your retirement account too early or something.
The penalty, but the penalty goes to the tax.
Rent land banking.
Thanks for that. I feel like I should get to learn some things. It's fair trade.
So in the disturbance perimeter that you have marked, are there any plans for revegetating the road, the driveway banks, once that disturbance has been made?
So for the purpose of the 3-9-20, the corridor, we've got ditches on the uphill side and grading on the downhill side. But the 3-9-20 process basically said we have to establish vegetation before we can sign off on the fact that it's done. So at this juncture, like we did with the other one, it's gonna be some sort of, actually, what we did last time was a combination of fabric with
Integrated seed.
yes.
And
Hydro seed.
hydro seeding, and is it a spray the hydro seed and then let the forest just naturally succeed into that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Maintain.
commit to hydro seeding, because that's not what we're putting on the plan, but I bet you that's what got.
Yeah, the point that I'm more concerned about is that if this is disturbing a forest block and there is this 400 foot or whatever cut through that, it's not a hydro seed, weed whack it once a year, or it doesn't seem, I definitely could mow this based on what it's looking like.
2 to 1
Okay,
ish.
It's gonna grow up in the dreaded.
oh, no, don't say that.
But it's 1 acre, over the 500 feet is 1 acre,
Okay,
and so, yeah, whatever grows, is gonna grow, that's what it'll be. So to answer your question, no, there's no plan to plan. I'd love to do it.
I just see it well, but one other thing speaking there, it seems.
It's amazing, they're not gonna be constant.
Really?
You know, at least get started, yeah. Okay,
When I was reading, when I was reading through the rules and regs and got to the part about forest resources, I would actually say it surprised me that it focuses on, it sounds like silviculture, that we want to maintain, that the focus of this is maintaining parcels of woodland that you can get a skidder on or turn around on for home timber. But the other thing that I consider significant is wildlife protection, that they need corridors that are actually large enough and removed enough from human disturbance to permit deer will go anywhere, we know that. I'm not concerned with them, it's everybody else that comes along that needs more protection that I would suggest is worth thinking about, and that's just sort of in general, that I think is from what the regulations say. They don't say anything about creatures, they just talk about silviculture from what I can tell. I think that's a mistake, but we won't solve that here.
Yes. Yeah, I would encourage the DRB to throw that to the planning commission as a concern, but for the purpose of these two projects, if I look at the flat upside down. The notion to Daphne and to Nina is to keep the driveways. As close to Beaver Meadow as possible while navigating the slopes of the bulk of the parcels are undeveloped. The difference in this case too is that it's a power line. And just the proximity of some telephone poles along the road, so the location of the house actually, to get to the location where there are no 25% slopes, to keep it offset enough to provide some vegetative buffer. But if you're looking for the driveways, as Scott said earlier, they're mirrored as close as we can be to the road to preserve the rest of the land.
Thank you. Sure. Any other questions or things we need to consider?
We will need to go through or apply the waiver for driveways, which I included in the packet. If you guys have any specific questions you want to ask, or if you don't, you feel that what's been brought forward satisfies those criteria.
We heard we've heard this, they already presented some information on this, right? Or no? Well, I thought we were talking about the other driveway, it's gonna be similar.
Yeah,
Maybe a little less involved, perhaps.
Yeah, the prior subdivision also required a waiver of our driveway standards, which is explicit in section 3.14 under general provisions.
Is it switchback or how?
It's in granting the waiver, the DRB shall be required to find that due to special circumstances, a less steep road will adversely affect significant natural or scenic resources, or that there's no reasonable access with grades conforming to the standards. Following on, we need to find that any provisions that can be made for a steeper road to provide access using or servicing the driveway or area and with the concurrence of the fire and police chiefs and require reasonable conditions that will, in its judgment and with the concurrence of the police and fire chiefs, provide access substantially the same for emergency vehicles as with the less steep road. And I think the application does speak to this by providing additional turnoffs, et cetera.
And this will not exceed 12%.
Our profile, Patrick,
Yeah.
is 12%. And just one quick comment, the way we looked at this in the field when Scott and I walked this when there was snow on the ground was, where can we do wastewater and where can we find a site for a home that's less than 25% slopes? This is the first location we found up there. To accommodate those two predictions.
So does this profile mean the average is 12 or there's no spots greater than 12?
So we gray shaded this,
That there are no spots greater than 12.
yeah, so the driveway profile itself, we're moving the driveway around based on the existing contours. But it's the main driveway, and when I say profile, it's 12%, so it's 12 feet and 100 feet.
Okay.
That was our design parameter, so how do we move the driveway back and forth to accommodate nothing more than 12% for it?
And so the variants were granting not the pitch of the driveway, but the cut into the natural sill.
You see the grade?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time you cross grade, it's what we're asking.
Because it's conforming, the driveway, I mean, even as a single,
As
as a single residence, I think they can do whatever they want.
amen.
Like, I mean, not me personally, but I think the rules, if I'm not mistaken, if you're just a single residence and not subdivision. I feel like you can have as steep of a driveway you want.
No, you can't. Yeah,
Can't do that.
maximum center line grade of 12%.
What we're talking about here, you have a field that's, 30%, you can cut into it.
Minimal. I think this is a small section of 15 that's allowed,
Yeah.
but that's not.
Right, yeah, so we're trying to say, yes, it's okay for you to cut into this 20-degree slope to achieve your 12-degree slope.
In tiny areas,
Yeah, right, okay, understood.
We're asking to cross the gray areas.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically.
gotcha.
So essentially Daphne's. Sorry, the pre-existing driveway is mirrored with the slopes and you were given permission previously with the DRB. Giving the waiver to allow that.
So there was 100 feet where we were cutting into 40-50%. This is marginal, this is, again, because the land is so rough.
Sure.
If you look at the, in general, the slope, it's about 25%. But there are gray areas there where it's over 25% that is rough.
Sure.
But again, that's where you're cutting, not that's not the driveway.
Just so y'all know too, I have to be careful how I'm speaking about this, but we actually field surveyed the topography along that road. We superimposed LiDAR information from DCGI, on some geographic information outside of that. The data along the driveway corridor is real. And I'm saying that because I see many plans that are not real. This one is, I wanna know if Scott's gonna build that thing, he doesn't come back and greet me. Say you made a mistake.
We're gonna be staring down ChatGPT applications till the cows come home. Like, how are we gonna do this, Tom?
Unplug.
Yeah,
Thing is, New Hampshire revising its rules for this packet, because people are putting,
I believe,
I won't say crap stuff and.
I believe you. All right,
good
thank you.
times.
It's always educational. Any other questions for Ms. Campbell's? Nice to meet you.
You have an ambitious project,
Yes.
and we hope it works out.
Donovan Webster doing the road again?
Sorry?
Donovan Webster doing the road again?
Yeah.
We're not gonna come walk the land and see it, it's pretty.
Yeah, I went up and had a look. Yeah, yeah.
I think so, yeah, I'll drive.
Should we make a
Yeah, let's
motion?
make a motion to close this public hearing. Oh,
Alex,
sorry, Alex, is that a question or a motion?
No.
All right, can we get a motion?
Sure.
thank you. Second, all right, thank you. You, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks if you. Should we be fair?
Yeah, leave everything there.
yeah, thank you.
It's to see you. Okay.
I remember
What did- what is- you know, and you-
I also remember there
What
being
did he do
something
for a
that
living?
had with any single dwelling. Like, you can't have a. You can approve it, some of mine for you all said. Great.
Wow.
But if they were gonna
That's cool.
subdivide and turn that into a private road.
You know, the young brother comes down and.
Yeah. That's not well, right? Yeah, I haven't had the courage nor the right to drive up that thing, but I kind of want to.
It's okay on a warm, dry day.
Yeah, exactly. We've had some nice ones lately.
So 8-minute deliberate session, what do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Positivity.
Here we are. Do we, without Linda, I'm lost.
We need to make a motion to go into deliberative session.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Session.
7:52. Emily,
And we're off recording.
Patrick, Bradley, do I have a second?
Uh,
Oh, you're
Yeah, I'll
the second and
all
all
those in
in.
favor?
Okay. All right, enter, I'm gonna stop recording and
The owl's gonna close her eyes.